let's get rolling. So in this talk, we're going to talk about social media, and we're going to talk about it in a different way. We're going to, you get usually these social media folks, and they're going, oh, you have to go and do this and this and this and this and this, blah, blah, blah. And what we're going to do in this talk is talk about, Christy and Michelle and I are going to talk about really just a couple tried and true tactics. We're also going to talk about how social media is really a deception, and it's fraught with fraud. We'll share some of that with you too. Now, there's the kind of the money piece in this breakout session is, you know, what to do, and there's 99 things not to do. There's one thing to do, one or two things to do. And I think what we'll do is you guys, that's like item 5. Let's make that item 1, and let's give people on this breakout just what you need to do, and then we can backfill and talk about some of the broader issues around social media. So, Christy, what do you think? Good idea?
Sure. Give me a little lead-in into what you're actually looking for.
Yeah.
Both Michelle and I are like.
Yeah, Michelle's always been able to kind of read my mind, dude. So
I have a couple ideas right off the bat.
Yeah, so Michelle, let me just frame it up. So
okay.
If there's one or two things that schools should be doing, and and you can save yourself all kinds of money, just easy, simple things. Okay, that's the question that we're going to give these people what they need. Take notes, everyone. Okay, fire away. And then Christy.
Michelle, you go first and I'll follow.
Alrighty, sounds good. I would say rule number 1 is don't take on too much. I think a common mistake is people try to be on every single platform, and it's not necessary. Just pick 1 or 2 social media platforms and do them to the best of your ability, and that will look a lot better than if you spread yourself too thin and you can't keep up with posting on a regular basis. Another thing is original content is great. So if you can post original photos or videos, action photos are the best. So students who are actively learning, or if you have school spirit days, things like that, even if they're not super high resolution or super professional, it really shows the true nature of your school, and it tends to resonate well with people. And also post fairly frequently, because in general, it doesn't look very good if you go to a social media page and it hasn't been updated for months or even years. So if you can commit to posting bi-weekly or every week is ideal.
So what you're saying then is have a tighter focus, a more narrow focus in terms of content, and then be more prolific, do less, but do a better job of it, is what I hear you saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, and then I'm going to segue to Christy. Everybody on social media talks about the buckets, what I call the buckets. And the buckets are the places you put content, and like Facebook's a bucket, Instagram's a bucket, and what have you. And then there's the content, and people don't seem to spend much time about content. So buckets or content, what's more important?
Personally, I'd say content is king, but maybe that's just my own biases as a content creator. So I don't know, Christy, what do you think about that?
The buckets versus content question, I would say that, I mean, going off exactly what you said, which is, be selective with where you're putting your content. So the platform, so be selective with your platforms, which is the buckets. And then the content is the most important thing. And the type of content, it changes shape depending on the platform, but the type of content is going to be the same for your school, like the type of content that you should be sharing might, have to fit differently in that platform, but it's the same type of content. It's the same stuff that Michelle was talking about.
So Christy,
Yeah.
you and I were talking yesterday, and you made a really excellent point about how, because you said, Greg, what's the most important thing about a career school in terms of creating credibility and all that? And I went, oh, good question. And then I think you came back with, what people really want to know about a career school is, will I get a career after graduation? And of course, you're not allowed to promise a career. It's against the rules. But
Yeah.
there's a way you can intimate that. And you got on a track about that. And really, that's a hell of a good kind of an anchor point for any social media program. You want to kind of expand on that?
Well, that's kind of it. I mean, considering what Michelle was saying, the type of content you want is the content showing people doing the things that you're saying they will be doing, whether or not that's pictures, high quality or otherwise, of them working with their hands at your school, with them, out on job training, with them, receiving their diploma or walking into their first, job, or shaking the hand with the employer, but honestly doing the thing. If you have pictures and video of them doing that, if you have pictures and video of them experiencing what you're saying your students will experience, that's everything. So you don't have to say you will get this job. What you're saying is, this is the job you're going to do. Look at these people doing it.
Ah, yeah.
There's no promise that the viewer is going to get the job, but you're showing people doing it. You're showing that people are getting it.
So vocational school, client and automotive pre-trades program, they did a piece on how to take apart an engine block in 30 minutes or less. And they had 45% of the people that tied into that social media pursue more information. And I think half yet again were students.
Yeah.
So that's an excellent one, is here's some of the stuff you'll be doing in school that you'll also be doing in the workforce.
Yeah, and you're not explaining it to them. You're showing them other people at your school doing it.
So, hey, here's
it's true
Michelle.
And ethical.
Yeah, here's Michelle. She's a phlebotomist. Watch Michelle draw blood.
Yeah.
And which is an inside joke because Michelle's
needles.
So here's another one. Okay, everybody. So let's go and just write this down. This is a prescription, and it works really well. You get Michelle, and she's graduated as a phlebotomist. And then we take a picture of Michelle, their smiling face. And then it's like, hey, congratulations, Michelle's working at the Jubilee Hospital as a phlebotomist. Okay, and then there maybe Michelle goes, what a cool hospital. It's a great job. I love needles and I love drawing blood. This is great. And the school I went to was awesome. And then that's it. Okay, so smiling, or a short video or a smiling face. So-and-so is working here, which is a fact. And then a back reference to the successful education they got. That's a formula. You can have somebody, entry-level person, doing that over like an hour or two to produce that.
Yeah. And
you can send that out once a week, every 2 weeks. Now, here's what happens is it's proof that it's demonstrated proof that, hey, one person who finished your program got a job.
Yeah.
Now, in marketing, there's the core premise, which is repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity creates one of two things: contempt or trust. Mm-hmm. And so repetition of what that formula I just described, that is a high quality proof that your school is viable. And
social proof.
Social proof. Thank you, Michelle. And so through repetition, then the people are popping onto Facebook or seeing you around or on a blog or Instagram or whatever, it creates familiarity. There's a sense of familiarity that might start to build in seeing different people happy in jobs as a result of the training. And that in turn will create a foundation of trust. And for large ticket intangible marketing campaigns, large intangible items, that foundation of trust absolutely has to be there. And so the advice from the three of us is this: do that we just described. Do it, go out every 2 weeks, and within 6 months, you'll have, what, 6 times 2, you'll have 12. If you do it weekly, you'll have 26 configurations of the same theme, which will create lots of familiarity on your, about what you're all about as it relates to one thing. These people all got jobs by way of your school, and you're telling the truth, and it's repetitive but in different ways. Repetition creates familiarity, which creates trust. If you're just banging out stupid crap, or you're curating other articles, like to, you know, what these guys are saying is it's weak. You want to have your own juicy content, and that's the best content to have in the context of a career school.
And
so somebody's charged. Sorry, go ahead, Christy.
Oh, a good way to remember that is a blend of what you're saying and what Michelle just pointed out. So when I say I'm not concerned with what platforms your school is on, I literally am not. Like, a new one could pop up while we're talking, and it could be right or it could be wrong for your school. But the type of content, all you have to remember is social media for your school is social proof. So if you're not creating content that is social proof, then that content, you probably shouldn't be worried about putting that work into it. Put your resources, your people, and your effort into creating social proof for social media. Don't bother with the other stuff because you don't have time. Like, I know, Nicholas, I know that you literally are doing 7 people's jobs. So if you have 7 people's jobs to do, you don't have time to create content that's not going to do a job for you.
But Christy, you know, Nicholas, they are actually doing what we've just suggested. Nicholas, why don't you unmute yourself and just share your story really quickly on how this is working for you or not?
Yeah, so basically, we have a director of job placement, and he essentially is our connecting point between our school and our graduates. I asked him to send out an email a couple months ago to see if some of our graduates would be willing to do a short, 20-second video on what they're doing, where they're working, how they like it, and of course, give a little shout out to our school at the end. Say, yeah, thank you so much to my school. Like, they are the reason I have this job today.
Perfect.
And we've done about 10 of them, I think. And they're awesome. People eat them up. Yeah. Anytime a graduate sends one in, I throw it up immediately.
Yep.
Yeah. They're awesome. Definitely works very well.
Absolutely. Social media is for social proof, and there are different ways that can look, but I honestly think that exactly what you're doing is what businesses, and specifically our schools, should be doing. That's the effort that should be put on there.
Right. And sorry to follow up, I know we have probably some tech-oriented people. When I say successful, I'm talking about engagement. So the engagement is up, I think it was 180% compared to other posts that we do.
Wow.
So it's a pretty substantial boost in engagement. At least that's probably one of the main metrics I track.
Absolutely.
But it's a huge boost on that. So
here's an example of what we're talking about, you guys. That's like a hyperfuel steroids. So when you get I'll tell a quick story, and then we'll segue into the crazy evil stuff that's being done on social media. All right, so the story is this. There's this guy at Camosun College, which is a community college, and he decided to have a contest, and it was 60 seconds called My Camosun, and students had to come up with a homebrew 60-second video as to why they loved Camosun College, where they were going to school. And he offered up $500 for first place, $300 for second place, $100 for third place. He figured he'd get 8 or 10 applications for this contest. And he got like 350 some odd. And it's incredible. So he had these 350 odd, really, and some of them were heart-wrenching, and some of them were really funny, and some had no production value, some had high production value. And now in My Camosun, there are thousands of these 60-second testimonials from students. So if you're curious, you guys, go to, not right this second, of course, but go to YouTube, type in My Camosun, M-Y Camosun, C-A-M-O-S-U-N, My Camosun, and you'll see them. And then you're going to say to yourself, I'm going to do this contest as well. It's just another version of, what did you call it, Michelle? Social proof?
Social proof, yeah.
Social proof, yes. And so that's another version where you can put YouTube to work. And then, of course, you can proliferate all those video clips all over the place. So that's pretty cool. So there's lots of other things you can do with social media that the social media tree elves will try to convince you to do. But don't do it. Just stay focused on what we just described. Do nothing else. Do an exceptionally good job, and you're rocking. Now,
can I add one more little thing?
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
I would just say be responsive. Like typically on social media, what you give is what you get. And a lot of people sort of miss the opportunity to capitalize on the fact that you can interact with your prospects directly on social media. And so if people are commenting, if people are messaging you directly, be responsive. Like it will generate dialogue and yeah, just I know everyone is very, very busy and it can be time consuming, but really try to respond to your audience.
But that's a vein of gold for the admissions reps, eh?
Exactly. And oftentimes it's untapped.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, that's another reason, what Michelle is saying, that's another reason to not spread yourself really thin on a bunch of different platforms, because part of the way that you are managing a platform is posting. Sure, yeah, you should post the right things, but being responsive and also auditing that platform. So be responsive, 100% do that. The other thing is audit that platform, whatever platforms you're using, depending on if you have a lot of people from your staff on them, maybe every quarter, but at least every half a year, make sure that the people you've given access to that platform are still the people who should have access. In the case of LinkedIn, make sure that the staff that's listed as your staff are actually your staff. And that can be people who have left, and that can also just be randos who have said, I work here, who you've never seen in your life and do not in fact work there. So audit your platforms. It's part of managing social media. It's not fun, but that's another reason to not spread yourself really thin. And that's another reason to keep, it's another way to keep yourself like honest and real and, you know,
and that could
people
be,
want to work with.
That could be the good work of an admissions rep, where they're assigned 2 platforms just to respond and interact with people. I know Tom Hill in our group, he, when we have threads going in LinkedIn, he's always interacting with people who are on those threads. I like to do that as well. So before we switch over to just some salacious stuff, anybody have any comments or inputs? Nicholas had really good And now Nicholas is asking a question about paid versus organic social media marketing. So, okay, let's just segue to that because these are tight little time modules. Social media is express themselves, yet when they put a post on in Facebook as an example, they can maybe get 3% of their people who are in their friend list will actually see it. And the only way they can push that out to their friends or beyond is to do a little thing called boosting. Boosting is part of Facebook's way to make money, the way to monetize those boosts, because people get frustrated and go, oh, I have 500 friends, only 20 of them are seeing my post. And then, hey, spend 20 bucks and you can send this to all 500 people, and spend 60 bucks and you can send this to your 500 friends and their friends. So it's become the word I'll use is patina. There's a little package that promotes social media as a way to go and just have a free exchange of ideas. But Facebook, Instagram, part of Facebook, etc., are trading on the stock exchange, man, and they are in it for money, and they are saving and using and reselling all your information. The Social Network is a documentary everybody should go and watch. And if we naively think that social media is created by Zuckerberg for the good of all, they're maybe fooling themselves. And so, and then of course it proliferates. There's a huge industry of people who write fake testimonials for schools and restaurants and hotels and etc.
Oh.
There's a famous oh wait, Larry's left. He's had enough. There's a famous documentary, if you go on YouTube, The Shed at Dulwich, and it's these guys in London, England, and they wanted to they write fake testimonials for clients to drive up their rankings on Google and what have you. And of course, it's all just graft, and it's widespread. But these guys decided to do a social experiment, and they decided to make a pretend restaurant with a pretend menu, and then use their fake testimonial writing skills to see if they could get the fake restaurant, which was ranked, I think, 1,800 on Yelp, the bottom, for restaurants in London, and get it ranked #1. And they did it just through smoke and mirrors. They sucked everybody in. And
yeah, restaurant as vaporware.
Yeah. So it's just fraught. Christy, you want to jump on vaporware? And
well, I mean, it's not, like you said, it's not news to people that social media isn't for the greater good. I think what is interesting though is, yeah, you can game it. There are so many ways to game it, but then once you figure out how to game it, you've really done what their entire point was. You've been sucked into so now you spend all your time in its environment. So if we were going to have a conversation about how to game Facebook, Facebook is essentially won, because now what we're doing is we're putting all of our effort into Facebook, or we're putting all our effort into LinkedIn, which is Microsoft. So the whole point for them is they don't want you to leave. They continue to create.
And allow me to just jump in and interrupt on that point. So to Nicholas's earlier point on the chat is, what you want to do is go into Facebook and campaign inside Facebook using social media with the sole purpose of sucking the traffic and the interest out of Facebook onto your website platform, and then use remarketing on your website to re-engage people. So you want to be not, as Christy, as you're alluding to, you don't want them to stay, you don't want to stay in that ecosystem. You want to draw them out and draw them to your website.
Yeah, you want to do whatever you can do to get your leads out of social, because every single platform is designed to keep you and your leads in there. And, you know, to the point where LinkedIn classically will punish you for trying to direct people out of LinkedIn. So LinkedIn articles, for instance, the publisher section, it will punish your post, your article, because it has links directing outside of the LinkedIn ecosystem. So, I mean, no hard feelings. I know why they did that, but like, come on. But the point for them is to keep you in there. So the best way to game social media is to get your leads off social media.
Yeah, keeping them, get out of the ecosystem, get out of the cult.
Use
It's like
social to
those,
direct people to your property. So social is rented, whether or not you paid money for it, you're paying something. You're renting that property. They can take it away from you. They can change it. They can strip all your valuables from you, essentially. So get your people off it. You own your website. You own your email list.
so your digital real estate is rented inside social media, and to own the social media, to own your digital real estate, the metaphor would be to have somebody opting in to being communicated with in a repetitive way, like an opt-in lead.
Your own, though, off social.
Correct. Off social. Michelle, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was going to say, I find blogging can be a really effective strategy for this, because basically you're posting new, fresh, original content, which, as we mentioned earlier, is the premium content that you want to be posting.
Yep.
And then you do some snappy little headline that will pique people's curiosity to click on the blog, and then you're driving traffic off social onto your blog, and then on your blog, you're directing them to the main pages, which is usually like the program pages, right? And then your call to action at the end, it could be sign up for our newsletter, sign up for our email list, want to find out more information, give our school a call, book a tour, like whatever it is. I find blogging, I mean, it can be a great bridge between social and getting them to the pages that you want them to eyeballs on your website.
Agreed.
And my best friend, Nicholas Springer, says that blogging also helps tremendously with SEO as well.
Hey, there you go.
And the other thing that blogging does, that's exactly what Michelle just said. So you know how we don't own anything on social? We actually like sign our rights away to the pictures we post there, to the words we post there. Blogging, by doing that, you are posting those words and those pictures on your own assets again, probably with deeper meaning, with deeper explanation, with better SEO, like Nicholas is saying. So that way, when and if that social platform changes their rules, doesn't exist, doesn't work for you, goes fully paid, everything that you've ever put that effort into is on your real estate, is still your asset, and you're not just losing it.
Exactly. That's a good
Interesting.
point.
Quick break point. I think we have a few minutes left. Oh, we do. Does anyone have any final questions or comments? After this breakout session, by the way, we're all going to dump into kind of a big mosh pit, and those that want to hang around can talk about stuff they've learned through the day, or whatever, and it'll be like an informal 15 minutes, but we have time for a question or two for...
Robin has a question. She says, our existing followers are mostly existing customers, students or grads. How can I help build the audience beyond that and get posts in front of new eyeballs?
Well, that's a great question.
Something
Michelle's
that comes
got some
to mind,
ideas.
yeah. I don't know if you could run like a refer a friend incentive or fun little campaign. Yeah, those tend to work.
Another thing you can do is create a continuing education program, and every quarter you do a Zoom meeting on postgraduate cool stuff, and then you and then part of the deal, it's free for graduates, but part of the deal is they have to bring a friend to those Zoom sessions, like what we're doing now. And so A beauty school. Hey, new hairstyles from Paris. Come, it's free for grads. Just bring a friend. And you do that once a quarter for a while, you're going to get a bucket full of referrals. So I would say that sits inside of a continuing education program. It used to be super expensive to do. Now, almost free with the advent of Zoom. You can do what we're doing here every quarter.
Yeah, share your
We have-
expertise.
Yeah. Hey, we have 55 seconds left. Now, Christy,
Yeah.
any final words?
My final words are just, have fun with social, but don't let it take all your time. Be selective with how you use it because it's designed to make you not leave, and it's easy to not leave.
Yeah. Michelle, how about yourself?
But don't squander too much money or energy on it because yeah, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
And again, I was going to sing a farewell song, but I can't because there's only 6 seconds left. Okay, so we're going to see you guys on the other side. 2, 1.
Thanks, everyone.